Hello Saddlers fans and welcome to a brand new feature here at the Poundland Bestcott Stadium. Something which we will be looking to bring you at the end of each month. It's the Walsall Rewind. Today we're going to be looking at the month of August. It's been a pretty busy one in regards to all of the games. We've had deadline day. There's been plenty of things happening across the board at Walsall. So what we're going to do is we're going to recap everything, myself and Paul here. And I think, Paul, we're going to jump straight into things with the away games, because obviously we started with an away game with Morecambe, one that between ourselves we were really looking forward to, and it came at almost a God-given time of the start of August, the season opener, the pub that's quite famous for us just outside the ground. It was one of those that when we saw Morecambe had come down, it was going to be, that's one that we really want to go to. It was an unfortunate loss on the day, 2-1. DJ getting, the goal that we all thought he was going to get. We know exactly what he's about, but it was a good day out on the whole, despite the result, wasn't it?
Yeah, as you say, the pub, I remember when we went there in the 1920 season, we had a lovely meal. It was a Tuesday afternoon ahead of an evening game. We got there really early, a lovely meal in that pub, and I think they've done it up really nice since then as well. So unfortunately, you weren't at the game, were you, Tom? No. So I know how gutted you were to miss that one. And so myself, Sam, and Owen, the photographer, we had a nice bit of food in there. We got there really early, had a nice drink in there. So yeah, onto the football side of it though. Yeah, it was. I felt the Saddlers were unfortunate not to come away with the point. A bit of a slow start to the game. I think Morecambe were on top in the sort of first 20-25 minutes, got themselves in front. And I think the Saddlers were just sort of feeling their way into it and trying to suss out Morecambe and get themselves into the game as well. But DJ does what DJ does best, gets himself that goal, really good ball over the top from Ryan Stirk. And when DJ's bearing down on goal one-on-one, I think as Matt Saddlers said on many occasions, he's got ice in his veins, and he got his opening day goal and opened his account early doors. And then in that second half, I felt the Saddlers were all of a sudden 5 yards further up the pitch, winning the ball back higher up the pitch, looked the team who were more likely, and then right in stoppage time, which is, stoppage time on the whole has been a big talking point throughout football this season. A set piece just becomes Walsall's undoing, and they come away with nothing within the blink of an eye, and felt like a really unfortunate one, but I think a point would have been fair on the day.
It was a sucker punch, really, wasn't it? Because you mentioned the stoppage time debacle. It's been discussed everywhere across football. It's one of those where we're not necessarily used to the new rules that have come in play. I think, having spoken to one of the former players, Stephen Ward, who's now at Solihull Moors, he said, because it was brought in so late in the day, it's one of those where managers, head coaches, the strength and conditioning coaches at clubs haven't actually been able to prepare for it, because you prepare your players for a 95 minute game, but now sometimes we're playing 110 minutes in a game. I think there was an example of one of the Portsmouth games the other week, the linesman got injured, then the fourth official got injured, and they played 26 minutes. But I think if you're only a goal down in a game now, if you're level, there are so many opportunities in stoppage time now to really change games around, 1 or 2 goals down.
Even like you say 1 goal, even 2-0 down, you're thinking if you get one in stoppage time, because of the celebration, you might get even more added time added on. So it feels like you have got time, and I think we've spoke to other people in football as well who've sort of said the same thing as Stephen Ward. I think teams could have shaped their pre-seasons based on that, and it could have been a different sort. But it's the same for every team. It's the same for everyone. Everyone's, going through this added time. So it is what it is. It was just, I think, on an opening day sucker punch. If you come away from home on the first day of the season, if you get a point, you've got that something to build on. So to have that sort of sinking feeling at the end, where it just the way the game was going, I think in that last sort of 15-20 minutes of normal time, it felt like it was heading towards a draw, and both teams were sort of not accepting it, obviously, but both teams were
ready to settle for it, sort of thing.
It just felt like the game was the tempo dropped ever so slightly, so it felt like it was heading that direction. I know in the second half, DJ had a really good chance. He hit the post. It was a really good effort. So unlucky. It was a ball down the channel, I think from Williams, and then DJ gets the shot across, hits the post, and if that goes in, I think it's a totally different game. So there's the sliding doors moment as well. But yeah, I felt like in the last sort of 10 minutes, you get a feel of the game, and I felt like it was heading for a draw. So it was probably a little bit of a shock to the system, but concentration levels have to be spot on throughout the whole period of the game.
Yeah, you mentioned the concentration levels there. We'll go into the next game, a completely different type of game in regards to the opposition you're going to play. I think Shad's actually said it himself as a fact of we're probably not going to play another team like that Blackburn side, and a thoroughly entertaining game of a 4-3, Oshin getting on the score sheet, Ross Tierney, Ram getting his first professional goal as well. It was a very entertaining game, but those concentration levels just sort of ebbed at the key moments of, it's that good old football cliche of you're the most vulnerable when you've just scored, and that was exactly the case for the Saddlers on the day.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, wasn't it? It was, I'd say it's probably one of the best games I've watched during my time at Walsall Football Club. It was brilliant. It was end to end. It was 100 mile an hour. You couldn't catch your breath watching it. We were pretty tired just watching it. So I wonder what the players were feeling afterwards. But I think it was a clash of two teams who want to play a similar sort of style. Both like to attack, both like to take risks. I was very, very impressed with Blackburn, and while it was a young Blackburn side, they had a lot of quality. I was very impressed with the way they built up from the back, and they sort of escaped the avenues. They were so confident with what they're doing, playing one or two touch football in their own box, and there was number of occasions where they'd be doing that, and then next thing, within a blink of an eye, they're on the edge of Walsall's box. So I was very impressed with them first and foremost. But the Saddlers played some excellent football that day as well. You've got Oshin McKenzie getting his first goal for the Saddlers, header at the back post, well worked set piece, and then you have an unbelievable move for Walsall's second goal. But the most frustrating thing I think you take from that game is on those two occasions, pretty much instantly Saddlers conceded.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned the second goal. It was a fantastic one, and it was almost the emergence of two players coming through for Walsall on the day, of Joe Folks coming in, almost a bit of a baptism of fire going into that type of stadium. It was a fantastic stadium, Ewood Park, and then Ross Tierney as well, sort of, lit the game up, didn't he? He was, he was here, there, and everywhere, and rightly got his goal. And like you say, it was a fantastic, well worked one that started with Donovan's pass. It
did. It was a wonderful pass by Donovan. Great diagonal ball, and Joe Folks' touch just is excellent to, take him away from the defender. And then, I think a lot of people are expecting him to sort of just cross it across the 6-yard box, but he gets his head up and he spots Tierney making a late run, and that's what you want from your midfielders. You want them to arrive late at the edge of the penalty area. That's exactly what he did, and he just guided it into the back of the net. It was a fantastic team goal, and I think it goes to show that it's the type of thing the Saddlers have been working on throughout pre-season, and sort of the way they want to play this season.
Talk about a team effort. I think from our point of view on the way home, it was a team effort getting that McDonald's order in, because couldn't go into the service station, so we had to go through the drive-through, and I think we built up quite a queue ordering for the four of us. But yeah, that's just a little insight into what we do on the way there, especially a Tuesday night on the way home, because if we have lost, we've got to have a little pick-me-up. Then we go into Wrexham away. Again, a completely different occasion of a Tuesday night in front of 10,000 fans, a sold-out ground, a sold-out away end again. But again, it's those individual errors that sort of cost the Saddlers on the evening, and it sort of overlooked the fact that there was some really good pieces of playing there. There was a fantastic set-piece goal from Chris Hussey in that one as well, and unfortunately, it just looked like, I'm going to use it, Wrexham got their Hollywood moment for that one of getting their first win in the EFL for, I think it's about 15 years.
Yeah, that's correct. When just talking about just these 3 away games alone, from the very start of the season, there's just so much to digest in all these games, positives and maybe not so positives, and there was just so much to digest. So there must have been so much going in Matt Sadler's head after the early sort of 2 weeks of the season with the games that had happened, because Wrexham, it was obviously we all know there's a lot of hype around Wrexham coming into the league with the owners they've got, and the squad that they built. That this is coming from the National League. That you could argue that squad that won the National League was a good enough squad for League One level. So there was a lot of eyes on Wrexham, and it was a 10,000 crowd, an unbelievable away, and by the Saddlers, by the way, over 1,000 as well on a Tuesday night, which is a terrific effort. But yeah, it was a bit of a bonkers game. There was the obviously I think the warning signs were there from the start, weren't they, with the crosses going into the box, and that's eventually how they got their opening goal through Will Boyle. But then they got the second goal as well, a couple of individual errors, and then but still take nothing away. It's a brilliant lob from Ollie Palmer, who's a player we've always rated. When we watched him at Crawley as well, we were very impressed with him then. So we know what sort of a threat he can be in this division. But then again, it's a well-worked set piece, and you can tell these are the types of things Walsall have been working on the training pitch, and it came to fruition. Again, what a touch by Freddie Draper as well, and it was the Stockport game, which we'll touch on later, and the Wrexham game where we've started to see his emergence and what he can bring. So that's been nice to look at. And then, like you say, the Saddlers get that goal, and I think it was a pretty bonkers affair after that. It was pretty end to end. It was you have a spell, we have a spell, you have a spell, we have a spell, and then Wrexham sort of get their third goal and that 2-goal cushion, and then I think another individual error. I think it was a poor clearance, and then that leads to their fourth goal, and the game's all of a sudden taken away from the Saddlers. But I think at 2-1, another sliding doors moment like at Morecambe, Ryan Sturck with what, if that goes in, I'm sorry, that's goal of the season. That's goal of the season for me. What a hit that was. Crashes off the crossbar, flashes across it, just did everything but go in, and then Donovan on the follow-up, and Ben Foster makes his save, pretty much his last act in football, wasn't it? And then
I think we'd have known why they'd retired if that one had gone in at that point. But
yeah, but again, even at 4-1, the Saddlers didn't give up. They didn't sort of accept it. They did went and got that second goal, and I think 4-1 would have been harsh on the Saddlers, but you have to give credit to the opposition. They deserved to win, and the way Walsall started the game, ultimately, for me, going 2-0 down in the first, I think it was 15, 20 minutes, wasn't it? I think that's it's extremely difficult in this division. We've seen it like at Stevenage last year, didn't we? So when you start like that, you've always given yourself that mountain to climb, and it's very, very difficult to come and get 3 points. So I think Wrexham deserved it on the day, but again, there were encouraging signs from the Saddlers.
Speaking of a team coming from 2 goals down, you then go to Crewe away, and I have to say, whilst we talk about Blackburn being a thoroughly entertaining game, the first half at Crewe, the first 60 minutes, as Matt said in his post-match interview with us, was probably the best that the Saddlers have played so far this season under his guidance, under him as head coach. And I have to say, the first 45, we spoke about it at half-time on that day, was arguably some of the best football we've seen during our time here. It was so fluid, it was entertaining, it was attacking. A goal after I think it was about 36 seconds, and you just look at it and you go, this is what I'm expecting from us this season. And you then get to the point of, okay, there's a long ball down the channel, it's a great pass into him, and he finishes it well, the striker for Crewe, and then luck, whatever, great ball into the box. It's just one of them that another sucker punch in additional time.
It was. I'd agree with Matt Sadler. That first 60 minutes was unbelievable. By far the best performance of the season for me, comfortably, I think. I look back at how the Saddlers have played. I think, for me, one of the most impressive performances last season was Wickham away from the Saddlers. And I said at half-time, I think that's the best we've played since Wickham away. It felt like the most complete performance for 60 minutes. I do think for the whole 90 minutes it was a good performance. I know, the last sort of 20 minutes, Crewe are having a bit more of the ball, but I just never felt Walsall were in any particular danger. Even at 2-1 going at added time, I didn't feel like a goal was coming. I didn't feel like Crewe were peppering. I thought the Saddlers had a decent shape about them and looked quite comfortable, but the second goal has come from a throw-in where the taker is. We were right at the very back row of the big stand in the press box. He was closer to us than he was the pitch when taking that throw-in, behind him, right in the crowd of the fans. And obviously everyone sort of set up for the long throw to come in because that's what he was doing all game. And then it's gone short, and just it's that one little split second. I think, maybe awareness of the short as well. But then the cross, it's a cross. It's a cross. His cross has just eluded everyone and gone in. For me, there's a touch of misfortune about it and good fortune for them, but I think the Saddlers could have absolutely blown Crewe away in that first half. Maybe that's probably the one thing you take from the game. Should Saddlers have been 3 or 4 up by half time, and then it's absolutely game over, game set and match, done and dusted, 3 points. But you've got to take the encouragement from that, because it was a fantastic performance. The football was sublime. The way they controlled the game as well, Walsall, that first half was fantastic. So we've seen what the team can do, so we know it's in there. So it was very, very enjoyable. But the sucker punch.
Yeah, and I think as well that there are encouraging signs there, and obviously we've had some fantastic away days, but we've started really well at home as well, and I think obviously there'll be more people here, as you would expect for home games, to see just exactly what Matt and his coaching staff are trying to implement into the group. And Stockport County coming here for our first home game of the season, and you instantly look at it and go, okay, this is a very tough start for the Saddlers in regards to Morecambe away, then you get Blackburn in the cup, and then you have Stockport and then Wrexham and all that sort of stuff, and you do think to yourself, where are the points going to come from in this one? But Stockport had a lot of the ball, but the Saddlers sort of sat in, bided their time, and then were clinical on the day as DJ and Rem got the goals on that one. And those are the types of performances, whilst we conceded again in additional time, I think it was the 97th minute on that day, those are what you would hope to see more of, those clinical edges in games.
That's it. Matt Sadler often spoke about on the games, maybe that Walsall had lost or drawn, about not being on the right side of the fine margins. I think that occasion Walsall were. Was it Walsall's best performance of the season? Not for me. But everyone did their jobs. It was a tough contest. I think, like you say, they held firm in that first half and then picked their moments. It was a moment of quality. I think that was Freddie Draper's first game in a Walsall shirt, and we saw what a handful he's going to be for defenders this season. It was a brilliant turn on this near side to beat his man, and then it's a lovely ball. And then I think Matt Sadler said it as well. Time stood still when Danny Johnson takes his touch in the box. And again, when that ball, we were sat in the press box just here, when that ball hit Danny Johnson's feet around the penalty spot, you just knew. Yeah. You just knew. And lo and behold,
the goal gift was loaded up already.
You're dragging it in already, because you know he's going to bury it in that position. He's so ruthless, and so it was a great moment. And Walsall took the lead, and then, but knowing the quality stop, what have you, need that second goal. Rem Ote does exactly what you want from your substitutes. Comes in, has an impact on the game. Really nice finish. Great moment for him. His first goal back as a Walsall player. Obviously, his second in a Walsall shirt, having scored that penalty in his first spell. So really nice moment for him, and it proved to be enough. Yes, Stockport did get that goal in added time, and also really did have to dig deep in the back end of added time. But they did. They saw it through, and it was a fantastic result.
Then if you want more entertaining cup games, Brighton under-21s, a 3-2 loss on that occasion, but Oshin getting on the score sheet, loves a cup goal. And then great to see Tom Knowles back involved and back on the score sheet, and it was really good for him to get 30 minutes in that one. And whilst the EFL Trophy, as it's now called, because I don't think it's got a sponsorship, is one of those where fans on it are not overly enamoured by the games, but it's one of those where if you can use them to do exactly what Matt did and get the likes of Tom Knowles minutes in that one, and I think Ram played in it as well, to get minutes into those types of plays. It's about utilising that competition the best way possible, but also trying to take it as seriously as possible as well, because there's prize money there and there's a trip to Wembley at the end of it.
Look, it's obviously divided opinion since the under-21s were entered in it amongst fan base. We can't deny that. However, like you say, Tom, there's what it does give it. So with the group stage now, it gives chances for players on the fringes. That's 2 extra games than that would have been before, guaranteed, where they might get more minutes. So there's a plus. So it gives managers a chance to look at other players. Or if players are coming back from injury, Tom Knowles, there's a chance to give him half an hour, and that's exactly what happened. So there is actually a lot of positives. And then, like you say, the prize money for getting results is quite lucrative. And then, if you get to the last stages, then all of a sudden you can see the road to Wembley, and what good that can bring to any football club in League 1 and 2. It gives a League 1 and League 2 club such a great opportunity to go to Wembley. So there's loads of positives of that competition. But talking about that game, I mean, Oshie McKenna, we're starting to see what a real threat he is from set pieces, particularly peeling off that back post, his goal at Blackburn, and then obviously goal against Brighton. I think he's had other chances in other games and against Brighton as well, where he could have added to his total. But it's good to see that he's been involved in goals and he's played in centre back and midfield, which seems to be where Matt Sadler sees him playing in that midfield role. So, it's great that he's had a pre-season. He's really stamping his authority, I think, on this Sadler's team now. He's really becoming one of the mainstays in the 11 after a tough season for him last season. So that's positive to see. Looking at Brighton, I think, is it that Moran was his name, who got the 2 goals. I don't know whether it was already sort of on the cards for him anyway, but he's now on loan at Blackburn in the Championship. So we could see that day how impressive he was. He was sort of their standout player, and looks like they've got another gem, haven't they, Brighton, as they do. What a fantastic academy they are. So again, I think it's good that the Saddlers were able to test themselves against one of the leading lights in football at the moment in terms of academies and finding players. So again, it was a different test, but one where the team got a lot out of. Tom Knowles, good to see him get back with a goal, and he'll get fitter and fitter. And that was the first sign of us getting the injured players back as well.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that academy there. We've seen some fantastic players come through from Brighton from previous games that they played. I think Evan Ferguson played here now, just got a hat-trick in the Premier League. We saw Lamptey as well, but I think that was for Chelsea. But obviously he's now plays for Brighton. Sarmiento a couple of seasons as well. He's now on loan just down the road at West Brom. So
played in the World Cup.
Exactly, they've got some fantastic ones. And whilst there was disappointment in that one, you then go into the Grimsby game, and I think the side showed almost a different edge to them in regards to you go a goal down, and what a fantastic goal it was. I think Issa had scored one the week before as well, but it's brilliant. And for me, to then see somebody like Ryan Stirk pop up, I think that's now 10 different goal scorers in all competitions. It took us 21 games to get to different goal scorers last year. We're at 7 this season to get to that point. To have those types of players like Ryan pop up in those sorts of positions, in those sorts of games when you are chasing it to go and get yourself a point, can only be a valuable thing for us, and it was another valuable point on the board.
Absolutely. Again, it's midfielders making runs into the box and things like that, and coming from behind, it was only a week prior to that the Saddlers had surrendered a lead, so it was nice that it was the other side, that Walsall had come from behind and got that late-ish goal. I think it was 84th minute, wasn't it? And yeah, great moment for Ryan. His first goal at the Poundland Bescot Stadium, his first for the Saddlers. I think it was a Ross Tierney shot, sort of ricocheted into his path, and you've got to be in that position to react, and he was. So I think that's what Matt Sadler encourages from his midfielders. And as you say, Tom, we've got goals from all over the team, haven't we? Defenders are chipping in. I think, when you look at the midfield three of Hutchinson, Tierney, Stirk, Oshin, when he's in there, they've all got goals so far. Even Ram as well, like we spoke about, and now he's out on loan, of course, but they're all chipping in with goals, so it's really encouraging that we're seeing goals all over the team. I mean, as for the Grimsby game, I felt the first 15 minutes the Saddlers were really on the front foot. I think you need to score in that period when you're on top, because we've seen League 2 football. You're not going to dominate a game for an entire 90 minutes. The other team will always have that spell. So when you've got that spell when you're on top, particularly at the start of the game, I think you do need to get that goal, but just didn't quite happen. And for me, we'll struggle to see a better strike this season than Abu Issa's. Grimsby's media guy was sat behind me and he just turned and said, he doesn't do tap-ins. And I think we could see that, like you say, he scored one the week before and then he hit the crossbar, didn't he, with another similar effort. So it's clear to see what he can bring to the table. So fair play to the lad. It was an unbelievable finish. But the Saddlers regrouped, got the goal back, and I think probably when you look and reflect on that game, I think a draw was just about right. And I'd say two very closely matched teams, Walsall and Grimsby, and two really, really good friends in the dugout.
Yeah, mention the different goal scorers. Obviously, the highlight has been on DJ, the big signing in the summer, the one everybody wanted, and yes, he's got himself on the score sheet twice so far this season. But do you think that then takes the pressure off him, knowing that if he is in those situations, whilst everybody would back him to score in those sorts of situations, it takes the pressure off him and the other strikers that are at the football club to then be like, well, we're expecting you to score. With others popping up with goals, Knowles at right wing back, you've then got Priestley coming back into the fold. Donovan's always a threat. I think he had one ruled out at the weekend that we'll talk about in the next episode of this, but having those abilities in the group to score goals from all over the pitch can only be something that's going to help the Saddlers throughout the course of the season. Absolutely.
If you're a team that relies on just one player, if that player's ever missing, then you're going to have problems. And it is encouraging that goals are coming all over the team. Walsall have different threats. I look at the strikers, and Matt Sadler has said this on numerous times. They all offer something different. They can all impact the game in different ways, and that's what we've seen throughout the season so far. DJ, we know how clinical he is in front of goal. Jamil Matt allows Walsall to do different things, and the way he sort of puts his body about, and he's a real handful. Freddie Draper as well, he's an absolute nightmare for defenders to handle with his movement, his strength, and the ability he has as well, buzzing around. And then Remote as well, he can come off from a wide area as well and be a threat in that way, and he works so hard, he runs his socks off. DJT as well, again, wins his flick-ons, he works really, really hard himself, and with a striker partner up there, his link-up play and his hold-up play is really good. He's good with his back to goal, isn't he? The way he sort of takes the ball with his chest. So they all bring something different to the table, and they're all going to score goals this season, as are the midfielders, as we spoke about, because they've all chipped in already. A few defenders as well. So it's really encouraging. Goals have come all over the team, and I think it's an encouraging sign that I think the Saddlers have scored in every single game so far this season, haven't they? And I can't remember many seasons where we've got through the first month and Walsall have scored in every single game, and largely it's been more than one goal as well.
So that was on the pitch, and at that point you talk about the goals. There's plenty of them. What would be your goal of the month for August?
It's a tough one, but I'm actually going to go for Ross Tierney's at Blackburn. I think the move was just outstanding. It was a brilliant team goal. We mentioned how it was Donovan Daniels' pass. I think before that, Brandon Comley, he's on the left-hand side in the touchline. I think he's got two men by him. Neat little turn, gets out of trouble, and I think then the ball ends up back at Donovan. And then Donovan Daniels with his unbelievable ping right onto the boot of Joe Folkes. And I love the touch that Joe Folkes took to take himself away from the defender. And then again, I love the fact that everyone's expecting the cross, but Joe Folkes had that composure, to just get his head up and spot the run of Ross Tierney on the edge, and he guides it in. It was a wonderful team goal, one of the best team goals I've seen in my time at Walsall Football Club. So that's my August goal of the month. What's yours?
Again, it's a tough one, and I think for me, I will go with Chris Hussey's away at Wrexham. We having been told that they'd only worked on the set piece, less than a handful of times in the build up to the game, to get it right, to have that technical ability to get it absolutely spot on. The pass into Freddie to then whip it round a corner for Chris Hussey. Chris has to arrive bang on time, bang on the money, because if the ball is half a yard to the left, half a yard to the right, and Chris is, a second too early, a second too late, that goal doesn't happen. But you talk about that team goal. I think that, you look at the aspects built into that. It takes time, it takes practice, albeit not too much on that occasion, but to get those sort of set pieces right, that's for me why that one wins my goal of the month. Those are our goals of the month. So what we want to know now in the comment section is, what would yours be? You've got plenty to choose from, so let us know down in the comment section. Off the pitch, there's been plenty happening elsewhere at the football club as well. We'll head into the conference and events centre. There's been plenty that's happened for them as they look to build up to a very, very busy Christmas period. There's some great party nights coming up here at the Poundland Bescott Stadium in the build up to Christmas, including the excellent Ultimate Boy Band Evening. Paul, I don't think you'll be making it into the Ultimate Boy Band Evening, but you never know, you might get the late call up. If you're after something to keep your young Saddlers entertained in early December, why not bring them along to our Christmas with the Players event, which is taking place right here at the Poundland Bescott Stadium on Thursday, the 7th of December, from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. We're hoping that the entire squad, as well as all of the coaching staff, will be here for that day. So if you're interested in that one, please do just get in contact with events@walsallfc.co.uk, and one of the girls will be able to help you out further with that one. Back into another thing now, we're going into the Sadler's Shout, and a feature, Paul, that you've introduced this year is top threes in the programme. So far for August, you spoke to Owen Evans and Isaac Hutchinson. They've discussed their top 3 films, songs and holiday destinations. Some questionable ones from Evo, but that's Evo. You know, it's talking about the Jonas Brothers. Of course, he's included Tom Jones in there with a bit of sex bomb as well. But if you want to read those, you can be able to pick up your copy of Sadler's Shout from any of our games in August online at the club or in the club shop. So just head over to there if you do want to pick those up. But Paul, I want to ask you what your top 3 films would be.
Films. Okay. Again, if you think Owen Evans is questionable, I'm sure people think mine are as well. But maybe this sums up my personality more than anything. But the first 2. So the first one is Borat, my all-time favourite film. We've often sat on the office quoting that. Wonder if we could work that into a transfer teaser one day. I don't think we've done a Borat one yet.
No, not yet.
We'll see if that can ever work out its way in. One film that we have worked a transfer teaser in, Douglas James Taylor, The Hangover. Absolutely love The Hangover. When they get to Las Vegas, I think it's absolutely brilliant trio of films. But yeah, I've got The Hangover in there as one of my favourites. This one, bit of a different vibe. Castaway. I think it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, I'll rate those. So then, the top 3 songs.
Songs, so I'd say my top one is This Is The One by Stone Roses. Quite a big, pumpy sort of tune, and there's a lot of other sort of connections I've got to it as well. So that will be up there. I'm a big Martin Garrix fan. There's not many of Martin Garrix fans about, so I'd say High on Life by Martin Garrix. Saw him live in the summer, so really buzzing with that one. And then again, this is a fairly new one, Miracle by Calvin Harris and Ellie Goulding. I think it's the summer tune of 2023, and it's definitely been on my Apple Music playlist on repeat. Again, I saw it live this summer as well, and it was fantastic. So those are my top 3 songs.
I'm laughing at Sam as well, but you didn't mention that you'd been on holiday to us. But speaking of holidays, that's the next one. What are your top 3 holiday destinations?
This one's going to really shock you, Tom. Ibiza.
Oh, no surprise.
Yeah, I went there this summer, had a fantastic time. It's a wonderful place. Cyprus, it's my motherland, so I go there so many times. Got family out there as well, and it's really hot. So Cyprus is up there. And then my third one, I think Amsterdam. I was mulling over like New York and Florida, but I went with Amsterdam because I felt like there was just so much to do there. It's not too far away, and I had a fantastic time when I went there. So those are mine.
I was going to say, it's probably easier for us to get to Amsterdam than some of the away games
we're
going to go to over the course of the
easier
season.
than Barrow away, where you're going up and then off and away. And
mine, top 3 films. I would say Jurassic Park's probably up there, the first one. There's only one Jimmy Grimble. That for me is one of the best films. I can watch it over and over again as a football fan. Absolutely love it. And then I'll go soppy and say The Notebook. I've watched it a couple of times, but for me it's one of the best ones going. Songs, these are tough because my music genre goes here, there and everywhere. I think we've all experienced it on an away day with me in the car, but it's usually a heart classic sort of afternoon. I would say Foundations by Kate Nash. I think that's a really good one. It's one that gets going. Murder on the Dance Floor. That's always one that gets everybody going. And then probably Belter by Jerry Cinnamon. I think that's one that gets everybody going.
Definitely.
Holiday destinations. I went to Kenya when I was a bit younger for a safari. That's one place I'd always really, really like to go back to. I'd love to go to the Maldives, so I'm not going to say it's a top 3 holiday destination, but I would really like to go there. Florida is in there for me. And then I also really like, I went to Rome. I thought Rome was steeped in history. It was something that for me was, really enjoyable. I went for a long weekend, and that was for me something that, that I'd love to go back to and experience again. And again, the weather was absolutely spot on there.
Yeah.
Those are our top 3s. we want to know again in the comment section what yours would be, and in the next episode, what top threes you want us to discuss. Do you want us to discuss current players at the Saddlers? Do you want us to discuss current players in the Premier League, top 3 foods, top 3 drinks, anything like that? Pop it down in the comment section and we'll pick the best 3 to discuss in the next episode. I mentioned earlier there's been plenty off the pitch. In our commercial department, there's also been 3 brand new partnerships announced. We were pleased to announce that our academy have got a brand new front of shirt sponsor for the next 3 seasons, as we welcomed S&S Steel Stock on board. Their logo will be done in the home, away and third shirts all the way up until the end of the 25-26 season. The directors of S&S Steel Stock, Chris Downs, Barry Collins and John Elwell, expressed their delight at partnering with the Saddlers and said that as lifelong Walsall fans, they were delighted to enter the partnership agreement with the club for the next 3 seasons. In the first team, we've also seen a brand new partnership with Howard Evans Roofing and Cladding. They became our sleeve sponsors for the season, and Ray Gray Snacks also became the back of short sponsors. Howard Evans said that as a lifelong fan, it's been one of his main ambitions to have his name on the Saddlers shirt, and this partnership has now given him the opportunity to do that. And then Graham Jebb, who's the managing director of Ray Gray Snacks, also expressed his delight of being able to partner with a club that he's been supporting since the 70s. So those were some of the incomings during August that have been taking place off the pitch. But the final day, albeit it wasn't necessarily in August, but you associate it with it, the transfer window deadline day, was one of those where it's such a highly anticipated day for any football fan. Maybe one of those that's dreaded for anybody working in football, particularly board members, managers, sporting directors, anybody like that. For us, it's one of those where it's if you can find out early doors sort of what's happening, it can sort of set you up nicely for the day, and that's sort of how it played out for us for the large part of it when we found out that David Okagbe was coming in from Championship side Stoke City on a season-long loan. It was one of those that we found out quite early on in the morning when we came into the office, and that then allowed us to set our day up and going up to the training ground and speaking to him and Matt as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's always highly anticipated, especially for our department. It's I think you realise the sort of mad nature of it, and you come to notice that so many different factors in why deals do and don't happen, or why they do end up going to the final day. It's not for necessarily perhaps clubs, panicking and leaving it late. It's, I think it was alluded to in Matt Sadler's comments. I think around David's, for example. So obviously he'd been on the bench for Stoke for a number of the Championship games. Therefore, it was that sort of delayed it, and then it's only later on they've said, right, okay, it can happen now because required on the bench. I think Harvey Griffiths featured against Blackpool, so I think that was the case of now we had that Carabao Cup experience. They were then looking for the loan type thing. So those type of circumstances can be sometimes why deals are left to deadline day. But then for so many reasons, including those, deadline days are a mad day. We saw so many deals, didn't we, across the EFL. But yeah, as you mentioned, we sort of were informed that David's loan was done and dusted fairly early on Friday, weren't we? So that enabled us to get down to the training ground, and we had a chat with him. We'd done these photos with him in the afternoon, and then got in contact with Stoke to organise the announcement and work the logistics around that. And that was a pretty straightforward one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I think at the time, we almost, when we spoke to Matt to get the quotes, it was a case of there was the noises that we were getting was that was going to be our business done, but it was a couple of moments prior to Dave being announced that there was the words coming out that there might be a further addition for us, and that further addition came in the form of Harvey Griffiths. And I watched him in training earlier this week. There was an 11v11. We'll have hopefully Harvey's interviews out by the time this is out, but it was great for him to come into that and to see him instantly come into it. And like you say, he got valuable experience against Blackpool, and hopefully he'll come in and make a solid impact in this team.
That's it, yeah. Again, yeah, it's one of them, like, you know, you sort of feel as if, okay, it's done, it's winding down a bit now, and then all of a sudden, like you say, moments before Dave was announced, there's all of a sudden informed, like, oh, something else may be happening, there's something else on the cards, potential, so just you know, be alert type thing. And so, you know, you're always on standby, aren't you, on deadline day, no matter what time. And then it ended up being sort of in the evening that it emerged that Harvey was done and was coming to the club, which was great. And you know, unfortunately, sometimes I've seen it across other clubs as well. When players sign late on deadline day, it's a case of you know, not getting the opportunity to do photos and a sit-down interview because they're trying to get the deal done. They do the paperwork sometimes elsewhere. So I think with Harvey, I remember on Friday evenings, we were trying to get hold of him, trying to, you know, get his thoughts on joining the Saddlers, and he was really helpful. So thanks to Harvey for his help and sending the fans a little video as well, as Dave did as well, just to introduce himself. And obviously you sat down with Harvey yesterday, didn't you? So we'll have the interview for the fans to look forward to, so they can get to know Harvey more. And like I say, he's trained now, and it's 2 further options for Matt Sadler. I think he alluded to the fact that, you know, with Brandon Comley injured as well, it's another midfield option that he now has at his disposal that he didn't have while Brandon Comley was injured, so that's encouraging. Dave as well, I think, obviously we'll speak more about the Colchester game, but obviously he made his debut against Colchester, and it was a good time to bring him on because I think Priestley just back from injury, working his way back, so it was again good that Matt was able to call on Dave. So again, it was an adrenaline rush of deadline day, as it always is, unpredictable as it always is, but I'm sure Matt Sadler, as he said, he's really happy with the, I think, 12 players he's brought in, and that's the transfer window, and it's done and dusted till January.
Thank the Lord. But that's us done as well for today's episode of the Walsall Rewind as we look back at August. If this is something you've enjoyed, please do let us know in the comment section. And like I say, if you want to get involved in the Goal of the Month vote, let us know in the comment section as well as what you want to see in the next episode via the top 3s. Thank you very much for joining myself and Paul for today's episode of the Walsall Rewind. And as always, like I used to say, up the Saddlers.